Hello everyone, this is Marc Brunet, and I am back today with another forum critique slash paint over session. This is the gold winner for our August competition over at cubebrush.com, and well, I'm gonna try and explain everything that is awesome about this image, because it is pretty kick-ass, and I'm gonna try then and hopefully succeed into improving it a little bit by adjusting a couple things here and there that I think could be a little bit better. So with that said, these types of things become more and more stressful as it goes, because the level is higher and higher. I started with bronze and then silver, and then this is the gold. So this is the best on the forum. And as you can see, I mean, this piece of art is something. Let me show you a couple things here. You can see the insane amount of details. The perspective on the character itself is just very, very, very good. Yeah, the level of detail is insane. Like the design of this stuff, you can even see the like the reflection of the hanger that this character is in, on the shoulders, on a bit on the armor here. You have like some cool texture going on. Really, really well done. I mean, this really deserved the win, and yeah. So design-wise, I mean, color is also really cool. There's a couple things that we could improve, but I mean, as it is right now, it's very like a stunning image. You look at it, and it's very like the impact it gives off the first time you look at it. It's like, wow, it's very, very pretty. So yeah, I mean, amazing job. I have a couple of things that I want to go over, for this image, and it's mainly very easy to fix, but they're pretty big mistakes, and hopefully you'll see it right away when I change them. And but yeah, it's the kind of stuff that getting carried away with doing all the details and all this cool stuff, this cool rendering everywhere. You can sort of forget about some of the things that might be right in front of your eyes, which you stop seeing after a while, especially after spending a lot of time, as I'm guessing, on a piece like this. So I think there are there's, I would say, 3 things that we could fix in here, or that we could improve. So the first one is the perspective. So the perspective within the character itself is fine. The character, I mean, the perspective within the background is fine, because it's just like a photo and then paint over it. So obviously that's fine. The two together don't work. So that's one thing, and I'll explain it a little bit later. Now the second thing is also the composition of this image. It's not bad, but the canvas sort of position, or the size of this canvas is a little bit wrong. So I'll tweak that, and as I said, it's very, very simple fixes, and it's you can see the result right away. And the other thing is the colors a little bit. So we're gonna try to change some of the colors, mostly to separate the character from the background even more, because now everything feels a little bit blue. And what you wanna have preferably is to have the character be sort of one color, and then have the background a slightly different color, even though they can be similar. Like, they're gonna be both of them bluish, but maybe the front, like the character in the foreground, might be a warmer blue, compared to maybe a colder blue for the background. So we'll go over that last. We're gonna start with the perspective. So I'm gonna try to explain what. There are 2 ways to fix it, really. Right now, the perspective of the background doesn't match. I say perspective. The horizontal line, the horizon line doesn't match the character in this particular background. So you can imagine, if you continue those lines here that you have on the ground, which are very, very obvious. Let me pop a new layer in here and go line, and so you have these lines here going like this, going like that. So you can see the focal point, not the focal point, the horizon is right here. And what this means is that everything that is above this line on the character should be seen from below, and everything that is underneath should be seen from above. So that's, you know, it works fine for the shoes here. We're looking at it from the top. You know, we're not looking at the bottom of the shoe. So that's fine. And then all of this here is in good perspective. Now it's as if we were looking at it from a higher point of view. But now everything that goes over this should be the other way around. So it would be as if we're looking at it, let's say, you know, you have this sphere here, and then it's kind of angled like this, right? It's kind of a sphere that's angled like that. And what we would need to see instead is a sphere that is angled like this. So as if we were looking at it from the bottom instead of looking at it from the top like we are on here. And actually, the entire character, it's as if we're looking at it from the top or from a higher point of view. So if you look at the character itself, you know, without even looking at the background, you know, since you have here the shoulder, they're still kind of in perspective. If it were as it should be, if they were following this horizon line, it should be the opposite. So it should be, this one should be a little bit lower, this one should be a little bit higher. The hips should be a little bit higher again, but much closer to being completely horizontal. And then this should be the point where, you know, it's completely straight. And then at the bottom here, as you can see, it starts to go this way again. So you have this these lines here, straight, angled a little bit, and then the higher you go, the more inclined the angle should become, which is not the case. In here you have, you know, it's as if the horizontal line is kind of like around here. So I would say, you know, maybe around here from the angle of these things. So yeah, like I'm just eyeballing it, but I would place the horizon around this area for this particular piece. So if you didn't have the background at all, you know, it would kind of make sense. You look at it like this and be like, okay, so yeah, you know, this would be where the horizon is, and then the character would sort of sit in this, and then obviously from, you know, this point below, you would be looking at the character from the top. So everything makes sense. You're looking at it you're looking at everything from the top. So, you know, you're looking at this thing here. That's fine because you're looking at it from the top. Otherwise, if it was the other way around, like it is on this, in this case, you would be looking at this. So imagine this is like a cylinder, right? You look at it from the top, that works. But then, if it's within the scene, what should happen is that you're looking at it from the bottom. So the cylinder would be something like this instead. And then you would have the neck that's sort of behind all of this, and then the head that starts like this and is below, underneath the cylinder. So the layering starting from this position here, or was it a little bit lower? It was around this area, the actual horizon for this scene. So how the layering goes, if you simplified all of these things to simple shapes, it would go something like this. So you can imagine if it was like a cylinder at this level here, the cylinder would be looking at it from the side completely, so it would just look like a rectangle. Down here it would be almost a circle, so it would be very, very inclined. Terrible cylinder, but you get the idea. So we're looking at it from the top, and then the other way around here at the very top, you'd be looking at it like this. So let me erase the lines that don't make sense in there. So our cylinder would be looking at the bottom of the cylinder basically, and so anything in between would be sort of like, you know, the halfway. So something like this. Very rough, but that's the idea. And you know, all the basic shapes within the armor should be following those rules. So one way to fix it, obviously, is to fix the entire character and fix, you know, everything from this, line up and make sure that your armor follows, these rules here, so that you see everything from the bottom, from a lower point of view. But that would be a pain in the ass to do because that's a lot of work. And so instead, what we can do, let me just hide this. I've already split the character from the background, and I've just deleted this and let Photoshop do as content aware sort of fill up. So it looks looks like a mess, but it'll do for now. So what I would do, like I was saying, for this particular character, if I'm looking at the character, the horizon would be somewhere in this area. So what I'm going to try to do is get the horizon that is currently around here and try to bring all the way up to that line. So I can hide the character for now, and I'm not going to see this because it's behind. And now I'm going to do that. So Control T again, Control A, Control T, and I'm going to bring that dot all the way to the line up there. So something like that. And now the perspective will make a little bit more sense. Hit enter, and there you go. So I'll bring back the character in here. So now the character feels a little bit more grounded. Now you probably have to fix the feet here, because the angle is a little bit off. So probably something like that. Fix a highlight on it. But easy stuff still. Much easier than having to redo the entire character. So now that that's done, the background's completely messed up, so we're gonna have to fix that a little bit. But let's do that later. What we're going to do next is fix the composition. So the second thing that I think could be improved a little bit is how the character fits within this canvas. It's not quite following any rules. So you can see, if I pop this up here, so the rule of thirds, for example, you would probably want your focal point to be at one of those 4 intersections, which it is not right now. Or if I have different golden ratio, for example, again, it's it doesn't do anything. It doesn't work. The spiral, same thing. It's not following quite. For the spiral, you want the majority of your focal point around here, which is not the case. So it's not following any kind of classic composition rule for this entire piece. And I mean, an easy way to fix that. What we're going to do is have it a centered composition, so the character is going to be in the very middle of the canvas. So right now it's not, and what we can do, we can just go and use the crop tool and bring this so that it's a little bit more balanced, so that the head is right in the middle and that the volume of the character is kind of spread evenly throughout the canvas. So something like that would probably feel a lot better. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, to fill the background quickly, is I'm just going to select that and hit delete. And now content aware, that's fine. There we go. So now Photoshop did its magic trick, and it filled everything with stuff that is similar. It still look like crap, but so we're going to fix that a little bit later. Now I'm going to jump. Well, actually, so before I jump onto the colors, you can see now that the volume of this character fits a lot better within the scene. So if I duplicate this for example, and then darken it. So what you want is to have sort of on each side of the character have an even volume. So you have this volume. Oops. This volume here, which is similar to this volume here. The reason the character is not of the same distance, let's say from this side to this side, so you have a little bit more distance on here, that's just because there's more going on this side of the character. So you have like the sphere thing, and the hand is sort of protruding from the silhouette. So you kind of want to have a balance. So I could have easily pushed it out a little bit more this way, but then it would have been a little bit of balance. So this way, you have the same volume on both sides, very similar at least, and that works. So let me hide that, delete this. Right, now we're gonna jump onto the colors. Now that we've you know, sort of fixed the background, the perspective of the background, and so I'm gonna drop that just a little bit more. Actually, feels better like that. So now that we've fixed the, like I say, the background, the perspective, and the composition, two very, very simple things, as you can see, I am going to talk about the colors. So this is going to be the little bit, the bit that is a little bit more, I wouldn't say subjective, but a little bit less obvious. So it's less of a technical mistake, more of a yeah, I can't really say mistake because it looks nice. I mean, this could work, but generally, you know, you want to try to avoid having the same color palette for your character and your background at the same time, unless you're going for something very, very artsy. Or, but in this case, it would look better if it was a little bit different. So we're gonna try to warm up the character itself. We can do this by just, you know, bringing the color balance and adding a little bit of yellow, a little bit of magenta. Normally this works pretty well, so not much, just a little bit, and then having the shadows also a little bit more. And then we're gonna do basically the opposite for the background. So Control B, and we're gonna push this to a lighter, a colder blue. So adding more blues to it, more cyan to it. So it doesn't have to be pushed like crazy, but just a little bit more. So this is probably much better already. So now you can see they're clearly different color palette. I mean, still blue, right? But the background sort of feels like it's pushed back a little bit more. And what we can do even is add a little bit more depth by decreasing the contrast back there. So I'm just going to select the color like this, maybe a little bit brighter, a little bit colder even, so that the farther it is, the colder it is. And softly paint over it. So we're going to stick with that. So I'm going to do one last thing and Control copy that, go back before the color balance, before the second color balance, paste that on top. I'm going to erase the bottom here because it's at the same level of the character as the character, so it should be somewhat the same color. It's just that we want the environment, as you know, as further back as you go, the more the color palette changes to a lighter blue. So everything that's close to the character, everything that's on the same plane of the character should be a similar color, which is why I'm erasing. You know, I'm only keeping the back here. That's a lighter shade of blue, and that works a lot more now. Cancel. Alright, so now that we've you know, done the biggest part, I'm gonna go in here and just emphasize those oranges a little bit more, so that the character pops even more. That, you know, to create, because those are really cool details, and they kind of get lost in the blue shades of this whole scene. Especially if you have like a light source that eliminates those stripes here, you'd want them to pop a little bit more. So I'm gonna grab the same color, and you can see, you know, like this is if I color pick, it looks like it should be orange, but it's this sort of brown, ugly brown. So I'm just gonna, you know, crank that saturation, the brightness on these a little bit more. And I'm not gonna apply that to everything, but I'm gonna go over some of the parts so that you get those highlights a little bit more, where the light is hitting it more directly. So up here maybe, and I just want those to be just hits of color, nothing too intense. just so that the trim pops a little bit more. And this is the kind of stuff it's a little bit more of a personal preference, but I thought those details were really cool, and they add a lot to the design, and they kind of get lost, you know, with their original color. So why not pop them out a little bit more and sort of display, you know, the cool design that's going on in here. So I mean, I wouldn't go any more than that really, and this is also used to sort of emphasize the you know, the focal point of this character. So I'm not going to do it at the bottom here because I don't want the eyes to go down there too much, because it works well right now. So I have, you know, low detail here and very high frequency of detail around the chest area and the helmet, which is the focal point of this entire image. So it works really great. So I just want to try to emphasize that even more by adding hints of color here, you know, closer to the area of interest of this design. And I mean, even I know this is on cloth only, but you could have like maybe, you know, something here to make it sort of continue. But yeah, I mean, now at this point I'm just gonna try to fix the background. So I'm gonna speed it up to fix the background, but mostly it's pretty much it. So after I'm done with the background, I'm gonna add another layer on here, like I do generally, a layer of overlay, and I'm gonna try to create hits of light here and there to make this character shine a little bit more. But for now, let's jump on the background. Alright guys, now that I've sort of played around with the background a little bit and fixed things up because of the, you know, the distortion that was going on, now it's a little bit better, and we're gonna do the last step of this, of any painting really, and that is to just add adjust the colors and then do a little bit of you know, saturation and color and brightness pass. So let's do, so I popped a new layer, set to overlay, and we're gonna do actually undo that. I'm gonna merge everything at this point, so like this, and then we're gonna set our brush to overlay mode and add a little bit of warmth to those colors. So something like this, you know, like a orangey yellow. And then we're gonna try to emphasize the light source hitting this character here. So, you know, something very subtle still. Don't want to overdo it, but we want to make it feel so that the top of this character is a little bit warmer than the bottom. And we can add a little bit of highlight around this thing. Make it shine a little bit more. Something like this. All right. That's pretty good enough. Let's do a multiply using blues. So something like this. And to darken the sides here. So kind of create this fake vignette look. to black. And the last thing we're going to do is, actually that I've just noticed, is add a little bit of add a shadow to this character. So what I'm going to do is copy that and then go back in time a couple so that I can get back my layers. So let's try to extract that character again. So we're going to use this and Control J, delete the old one that we don't need anymore. So my character has been extracted. I'm going to keep the background. Because I still need it. As you can see, I made those changes, and I want to keep that. And I'm going to delete the old one. And what I'm going to do is duplicate this and use this one. Set the saturation to 0 or the lightness to 0. And I'm going to create a shadow for this guy. So very simple. So I'm imagining that the main light source coming from the top right, as you can see that I emphasized, using the overlay pass. So I'm gonna create a soft shadow right here. So obviously that's too black. I'm gonna drop that down a lot more. Maybe colorize it blue. So I have my layer locked. So everything that I paint is going to be on the layer only. I'm gonna go with a dark shade of blue, something like that. Probably better. There we go. And set that to multiply. So as you can see, I have a shadow now. Looks a little bit more grounded. And what I'm going to do is just blur it a little bit. As the more it goes away from the body. So unlock this. And select the blur tool. Set to 100%. And blur it. And I can also erase it a little bit more so that it looks like it fades in the background. Alright, so something like that. Could be a little bit smaller like that. There we go. Alright, so it looks pretty good. Good. Erase this part here because it doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So for an image like this, I didn't want to do too much to it because it was already really good, and there's probably not much that I could have done, other than the couple tweaks that I've done to improve this much more. Everything else would have been more of a sort of personal opinion on design and all this stuff. But I really like the image already, so all I wanted to do is improve it a little bit. So we're gonna go back to what it was before. So I'm gonna copy this and go all the way up. So this was the original, and well, obviously the canvas changed, so I gotta fix that. Paste. I'm gonna move it to the corner and then crop it so that it matches the new format. And there we go. So let's try to ignore this white part. I'm just gonna try to fix that real quick so that it's not too distracting. So I did a pretty good job. So the old one, the new one. Old one, new one. So the most obvious part is the background, obviously, because we don't see all those details in the back here. But that that quick fix prevented us from having to redo the entire design and draw everything in perspective. So now it feels a lot more grounded. It feels like this character belongs on this level in this scene, and that reads a lot better. So that's it, guys. I hope this was helpful as usual. Hopefully, the original painter is not too mad that that it destroyed his background. But it's for good cause. It was the fastest way to improve this, to fix the perspective problem. So yeah, I hope this helped, And don't forget to check out QBrush.com. We have our current, competition going on for the month of August. So make sure you enter. You still have almost 15 days to participate still, so that's plenty of time. And you could be the next one to have your art reviewed in this fashion. So again, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.